Shakys also pizza.
Shakys!
You think you missed the mall, but it's not the stores you're craving. It's the food court, the noise, the smells, the fries. Let me show you what made it magic. 1. Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips.
There's a secret.
Where's the secret?
The secret's at your fingertips. It's Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips.
This one's for the girls who knew where to go on a Friday during Lent. Arthur Treacher's was fish and chips, American style, with a British accent and a whole lot of grease. You could smell it 3 stores away. For $1, you got a golden fried fish fillet sandwich, a paper cup of tartar sauce, and a drink. It was crisp, hot, and made cafeteria fish sticks look like soggy napkins. Some malls had full sit-down Treachers, others just a counter. But either way, if your school had open lunch, this was the cool kid move. That big red and blue sign promised crunchy perfection. You'd walk out with your tray and hear it, crackle crackle, the sound of teen freedom. And let's be honest, that tartar sauce, it deserved its own fan club. 2nd, Sparrow Pizza.
And I'm gonna go get me a New York slice.
Sparrow was everywhere by the late 70s. That display case of oversized pies behind the glass was practically glowing. Pepperoni, mushroom, sausage, lined up like greasy soldiers ready for battle. The crust was soft but chewy, the cheese pulled like taffy, and the whole slice drooped if you didn't fold it in half. Every group had at least one friend who swore by their baked ziti or stuffed shells, but most of us stuck with the pizza. After all, mall food was about reliability, and Sparrow never let you down. 3rd, Shakys Pizza Parlor.
We serve fun at Shakys. We've got player pianos. We serve fun at Shakys. We've got old-time songs.
If you didn't eat at Sparrow, you might have been loyal to Shakys, especially in the early 1970s, before the mall food court wars really took off. Shakys had more of a party vibe. Communal tables, pitchers of root beer, that old-timey player piano music in the background. The pizza crust had that cornmeal bottom that gave it a little crunch, and their thin slices had a snap to them Sparrow never tried to compete with. Some Shakys had a small arcade area or even live banjo music. You'd pile in with your friends, get a mojo potato on the side, and split a pepperoni pie without worrying about your waistline. It wasn't just a place to eat, it was an event. You went for the pizza, stayed for the chaos, and left with grease on your hands and a grin on your face. Orange Julius. No mall walk was complete without a pit stop at Orange Julius. That frothy, citrusy drink hit like a sugar cloud and left you wondering how something could be both creamy and tart at the same time. The secret was in the powder. Nobody really knew what it was, but man, it worked. You could add a swirl of vanilla soft serve if you were feeling fancy, or just sip the classic straight out of a waxed paper cup with a big orange logo. This wasn't your mom's orange juice. This was a teenage rite of passage. And bonus, it was the perfect antidote to a salty pretzel or spicy taco. Half smoothie, half mystery. 100% mall magic. Hey, before we dive back in, if you've been enjoying these videos and you've watched more than one, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I put in the hours tracking down these 70s treasures so you don't have to, and that one click really helps keep it all going. All right, let's get back to it. 5. Morrisons Cafeteria. Now this one had a quieter vibe. Morrisons Cafeteria was where you took a break from neon and noise. If you were there with your mom or grandma, chances are you slid that tray down the chrome rail, eyeing meatloaf, roast turkey, and peach cobbler. There was something old-fashioned and comforting about it, even back then. For teenagers, it was a spot to regroup. You could get a real meal for not much money, sit in a booth and talk about boys, grades, or the latest AM radio countdown. It wasn't flashy, but it was dependable. And in a mall full of hustle, Morrisons felt like a Sunday dinner with fluorescent lighting. 6. Wag's Restaurant, owned by Walgreens. Now here's one that catches people off guard. Wag's, the restaurant owned by Walgreens. Yep, the drugstore. Back in the late 70s and into the 80s, Walgreens decided that if people were coming in to buy shampoo and photo prints, they might as well stick around for pancakes and coffee too. Wag's was their answer to Denny's or IHOP, a full-on diner tucked into malls and shopping plazas. You could get a hot turkey sandwich, a burger and fries, or a stack of pancakes at any hour of the day. It wasn't fast food and it wasn't fancy, but it hit the spot, especially after a few hours of mall walking in platform shoes. They had vinyl booths, laminated menus, and that old-school waitress vibe where everyone got called Hon. It was cozy, reliable, and totally unexpected coming from a place known for selling aspirin. But by the early 90s, Walgreens shut the whole thing down. Today, it's one of those weird little chapters in mall history, forgotten by most, but legendary to those who remember. 7. The stuffed potato. If you were around in the 1980s, you might recall that stuffed baked potatoes had a serious moment. And at the heart of that carb-loaded craze was the stuffed potato, a fast-casual food court spot dedicated entirely to the humble spud. But this wasn't just any baked potato. These were loaded, oversized, and practically bursting with toppings: sour cream, bacon bits, broccoli and cheese, chili, green onions, taco meat. You name it, they'd pile it on. It was like a baked potato bar in a box, hot, cheap, and absurdly filling. The stuffed potato had locations in malls like Staten Island and Green Acres, and for a while it looked like the next big thing. But like most trends from the 80s, it burned bright and faded fast. By the early 90s, it was gone, buried under a pile of nacho cheese and good intentions. 8. Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor.
When Deanne had her 8th birthday party at Farrell's, even the Beasley brothers had fun.
Now this was theater. Farrell's wasn't just a restaurant, it was a show. Giant sundaes, candy counters, waiters running full speed with the zoo, that massive sundae in a giant bowl with sparklers on top, and a siren blaring across the dining room to announce birthdays. It was loud, chaotic, and totally wonderful. For teenage girls, it was a dream. Giant desserts, cute waiters in bow ties, and sugar-fueled laughter that lasted for hours. You didn't go to Farrell's for subtlety. You went to share a trough-sized sundae with 6 friends and walk out buzzing from sugar and memories. 9. Roy Rogers.
Our Roy Rogers family restaurants are famous for fresh roast beef sandwiches. And now I'm inviting you to come on in and try our delicious hamburger.
This was one of the few mall spots that let you customize. Roy Rogers had the Fixins Bar, pickles, onions, lettuce, tomatoes, and that sweet Roy's BBQ sauce that turned a simple burger into something legendary. It had that Western vibe, wood paneling, spurred logo, maybe even a little country music on the speakers. You could grab a roast beef sandwich or a fried chicken platter and feel like you got real food at the mall. And let's be honest, the Fixins Bar was the draw. Everyone had their own way of stacking, saucing, and turning a basic sandwich into a masterpiece. York Steakhouse.
Looking for a great lunch at a great price? Well, York has lots of them.
At York Steakhouse, we serve the best in food and quality.
At York Steakhouse, we've got delicious honey-glazed roast chicken.
Last, but definitely not least, York Steakhouse. This was where you went when you were dressed up, like in your flared slacks and polyester blouse, or maybe platform shoes you couldn't walk in yet. York was dim, moody, and felt grown up. You grabbed a tray, slid through the line, and picked a steak, a potato, and maybe a little dish of green beans. Then you sat in a padded booth with real utensils and felt like a total adult. Teen couples loved York. It was cheap enough to afford, but nice enough to impress. That dim lighting did everyone favors. The food? Surprisingly decent for a cafeteria line. The vibe? Pure mall romance. The mall wasn't just where we shopped. It's where we lived, laughed, flirted, and filled up on some of the best junk food around. And you know what? It tasted better back then. not just because of the butter, the sugar, or the grease, but because it was all part of being there, with your friends, with your heart wide open, with your whole life ahead of you. So here's to the food court, the plastic trays, the $1 sandwiches, and the memories we didn't know we were making. Until next time, save me a seat near the Orange Julius, would you?